Hello everyone, welcome back. HP UFT Day 2 training. Let's get started. Let's continue with where we left in the day 1. So let's take a quick look at what we did in the first day. So we talked about installing the tool, which we did. We also identified a manual testing process and identified a couple of test cases. We have done the test case tests, but 2 of the test cases right now. And then we did tell about record and run feature. That's what we did in the first day. So let's take a look at HP UFT itself and see where we are. There's the results viewer and so on. This is the run results viewer. So any results that we see should be out here for us. What we're looking at to launch is the HP tool itself. I'm going to quickly launch that. We also have created our test case here with a couple of test cases that we've documented what we wish to or intend to do, and these are the steps for those test cases. So in the record and run that we did, team, we primarily focused more in terms of how UFT understood what we did manually and tried to execute the same back. So when we did a record and we tried to execute things, it started to learn. And then it was able to execute the same. Let's open the test that we created. And look at the script here. So start page we don't need. Let's go to action 1 directly. Oh, where is it? I saved it. That's interesting. Nothing got saved here, team. Maybe it got closed. Let me quickly check. Oh, nothing here. That's interesting. What do we do then, team? We did create a test, we did record, we did execute it, but it did not capture anything. What should we do then? How do we handle this? Because you will face such situation. What are you going to do at this time? Are you there, guys? Can you all hear me? Why is there no response? Can you please be active on chat? What do we do right now, team? Very simple. It will hardly take us a minute to redo it, correct? Yeah, Indu, you're right. Let's redo it. Record and run settings. Open the following when local browser, and the website that we're working with is qaonair.com. Internet Explorer, apply, OK, and let's say record. As soon as it's the record, the Explorer should open and it should be able to give us the options to start working with it. So the website is open. The first thing that we're going to do is click on sign up and click on freelancer sign up. And as you can see, the steps are being recorded again. I'm going to expand this. Let's start typing what we did last time. Karthik is what I said for the username 153 and say sign up. Oh, 153 sign up. And then we get this message. I clicked on it. I didn't do anything else. And now I can stop the record. Like I was saying, team, at the end of the previous session, it is to ensure that we understand this entire code. To do that, you've got to understand that there's two W's that's very important. What and where. Let me say rather where we want to do something and what is it that we want to do. Whenever you talk about automation, it is giving an instruction to a system, to a technology, to a robot, to a tool that will follow instruction. For it to follow instruction, it needs a lot of information. Because it is not smart as a human, does not have intelligence by itself. What it has is ability to understand whatever you say and execute that. Let's take a simple example. If I want to give an instruction to my friend saying that, hey, you know what, can you send me the file that is there in my machine? So let's say to my offshore team. Then I can say, you know what, go to my machine and log into my machine, take that file on the desktop with the name so-and-so and send it to me. It is enough, right? Because they'll have they know where my machine is, they know the password, I just have to tell the file name, I just said desktop and send it to me, they know my email address. But if I have to say that to a robot, it is tough. Why? I have to tell what is my machine, where is it located. Then I have to say log into my machine. It will ask me for username and password. So it does not know or it cannot remember those things. And then I have to tell which file. And then I have to say how to send it to me, to which email address, from which email address. I have to be absolutely explicit and clear for it. And that is very critical thing to understand. When we executed this step, that is what it did. It tried to read every step and understand where it needs to do something and what it needs to do. And this is where the concept of object-oriented programming comes in. The way these automation tools work is all about objects. It says that everything that we do, let me try and use a pen. Okay. Everything in world, it thinks as objects. Objects primarily have two things. It has something called as properties, and then it has something called as methods or actions that we can perform on them. Depending on the object, the properties change. Let's say a car. What are the properties for a car? What is the make, model, year of manufacturing, the type of vehicle, the class, and so on, right? It basically, properties can describe an object. It can describe as to what that object is. Let us say, for example, a cell phone, a smartphone. We say that it's, let's say, iPhone 7S, I believe, previous model. 8, I believe, is in the market. I'm still using an iPhone 5S and I'm okay with it. You can describe what color is it, what model is it, what memory it has. You can describe what it is. And then there are properties that are used to identify an object. What do you mean by identification? How do you uniquely be able to distinguish which is my phone, which is my car? For a car, we can use a license plate number or a vehicle identification number and so on. For a human, maybe who's living in US, we talk about a social security number or, the passport number or something that is uniquely identifying it. That becomes identification. And then there is a description. Let's say I'll say my car is red color. In a parking lot, if I say there is a red Beamer, BMW, there'll be maybe very few red BMWs in the parking lot. I can say that use that color and the make to identify it. Great for a human. But when it comes to robot or automation tools, it becomes tough. They need actual identifications which are much more stronger. So everything that we do is around object thing. That is how automation tools work. An object belongs to a class. A class basically says, what is the type of an object? Is it a car? Is it a human? Is it a smartphone? Depending on the type of that object, which is nothing but the class, the descriptions change. The properties that are used to describe changes, the properties that are used to identify changes. Now, what about methods in action? What can you do with that object? A car, you can drive, you can move forward, you can move backward, you can park it, you can turn left, right, and so on. A human, you can interact with. A smartphone, you can use to surf or chat or call and so on. So the actions are also dependent on the class of that object. What automation tool does is, if you look at a web browser, there are many elements or objects within it. There could be an image, there could be a text field, there could be a text itself, there could be a checkbox, there could be a radio button that you use to select, there could be a drop-down list that you can select an item within it, and so on. There's so many different types of elements or objects within it. What UFT calls them as different objects. This type of recognition of an object becomes very important. UFT looks at them as specific objects. An object that is there in a browser, in that specific page, there is a specific object. Now comes the other concept. So is this concept clear to you? Very simple. I'm putting it in a layman's term. What are each? As we keep going forward, you'll get a good exposure to each of them. Any questions on what I just said so far? Simple concept. An object belongs to a specific class, which says what kind of an object it is. If I have a pen, then it belongs to a class of pen. Now, within that pen, there could be an ink pen, there could be a marker pen, there could be a sketch pen, and so on. Different types within it. But then they belong to a class called pens. Every object will have properties. Each object, one object. Every object means each object. That's got a name to it. You give it a name. And then you can describe it using certain properties. You can identify it using certain properties. And depending on the type of the object, you can perform certain actions or methods on that object. Now comes the concept of a parent class and a child class. What does this mean to you? What is a parent class and a child class? These are the only concepts that you need to get the fundamentals of any automation. A parent basically says that it is belonging to a specific class. No question. Every parent has a specific class. A child primarily inherits everything from that parent. Whatever the parent can do, it does that. And then they build over it. And that becomes a child class. Simple example. Let us say car is the parent. What are the basic attributes or properties for a car? It has 4 wheels, maybe. But then, if you look at a truck, it has 6 wheels. If you look at a bus, it's different. Let's talk about cars. Within cars, are there different models and types? Yes. There could be a sedan. There could be a coupe. There could be a sports version. There could be a crossover. There could be a hatchback. And so many different variations of the car itself. But they all basically will have the same properties. Certain things will change. For example, sedan has 4 doors, a coupe has 2 doors, a hatchback has 2 doors, but it has a trunk that is inbuilt and so on. Certain variations to it. So, for UFT to recognize an object, what it does is it uses the concept of parent and child. It says within a browser that we opened, we are accessing a specific page, and within that page is an object. Within that page is another object. So it says that I need to say browser this, page this, object this. Now, what is the kind of object? Object can be a web edit field. It can be a text field, it can be an image, it can be a radio button, and so many different types that we find in a web page. They're finite, they're not infinite. We know exactly what are the different types of objects that we find. So it says, go to a browser, go to a page within it, go to an object. This answers the where portion of it. Where is that object located? Now, to be able to identify it uniquely, it uses something called as identification. When we get to descriptive programming, your identification concept will become absolutely clear. But for now, we will talk more theoretically what those identifications are. And then, what is it that I want to do? Do I want to click on it? Do I want to type in it? Do I want to right-click on it? Do I want to select something in the drop-down list? And so on. That becomes the what, or what we also can call as our methods or action for it. Sorry for my bad handwriting. I blame it half on the mouse and half on myself. So this picture team basically conveys everything about object-oriented programming and how we approach it. Now let's take a look back at the code and see how is that returned. In this code, everyone got this picture clearly? Understood? Any questions here? We talked about objects, parent class, child class, properties that can be used to describe or identify methods or action that we perform. A web page will have different types of objects, and then we are saying that which parent, which child. Another, then per page, another child. So this keeps on going. Parent, child, again parent, child, and so on. All right? That's the basic concept here. Let's go back to the code. Now, in this code, what you will see is very similar. Before that, let me increase the font size. I'm going to right click on this numbers here. Go to, it's not here. Tools, options, GUI testing, active screen. I'm trying to increase the font size here. Let's go back to general, startup, run session. Output pane format, output pane. This is. Let's see if I increase it to 16. Okay, okay. No, the editor. Right click and see if I have anything to do with editor here. No. Options. Text editor. Right here. Fonts and colors. This size, let's increase it to 16. Okay. Now I have a bigger code to look at. Right? Now let's try and understand this code. Each line represents a step that we perform. It should, in fact, map and match with what we have done here. Manually, we've done this. Automation recording, we've done this. So I'm going to paste this here. Now, let's save this thing before I lose it again. When I save this, I'm getting errors. Can you see this? Errors at the bottom. Line 1, expected statement. Line 2. Till line 13, there are errors. What does it mean? It primarily means that, listen, I know what to do with the application. I did a record and run. I understood that. And I wrote it in something called as a VB script. Using this VB script, UFT knows how to interact the application. It is the language that it is using to communicate. Now, if I come in here as a human and say, that sounds good, but I want to understand as to how I can pass instructions, then I have to do it as part of VB scripting. I have to learn that language. A language, a programming language, is a communication medium that helps us to give instruction in a way that a programming tool can understand, and it will do something called as compile and execute it. The error that we're seeing right now, is basically the fact that all this that I recorded, UFT is telling us, is in VBScript format. What you're giving here is not in a format that I understand. It needs to know exactly what to do. So this is what our notes, our text. So what we basically have to do is tell the script here that, listen, ignore this statement. These are just my notes, my comments. You don't have to worry. You do not have to execute. It is for my own internal documentation perspective. What you need to do then is comment it. Comment are statements that we can write. Anything. It could be about who created the script, who edited it last, what are the changes we made, what does the following code do, and so on. But it is something that the script itself, when we execute, it gets ignored. It does not look at it. So you do a Control M and it becomes a comment. And if you notice, the color also changes. It has now become all green. And if I save it, hopefully line 1 should disappear as an error. See? And all it is doing is putting a single quote at the front of each statement. So let me select all of this. The shortcut is Control M. I'm going to comment all this line. Now when I save it, there is no more error occurring. This error where it talks about that, hey, do I understand what you're writing or not understand? Do we understand or not understand even before executing it? Is basically something called as your syntax error. Syntax error is primarily saying that the syntax, the format, or what you wrote is not clear. When we are running the program and then you face an error, then it becomes something called as a run time error. These are the only 2 errors that we need to focus on. So if I'm executing something and it is not working the way I want, it becomes a runtime error. If what I'm writing itself is not understandable, then it's a syntax error. So there are 2 types of errors we have to master and we have to learn to figure out solutions to handle them. So I'm going to erase this. Let's go back to the screen. And now the syntax errors are gone. Now where are you opening the browser? Done through record and run settings. See, I'm writing notes. So I know how each step is being handled. How about navigating team? Have we done it somewhere? How are we going to the website QAOnAir.com? Ask these questions yourself, team. This may sound very basic, but then these are the fundamentals. If you don't master this well, then we cannot move forward. You'll always keep coming back to these questions. Team, I'm asking questions. There's 40 of you in this session. Can you all please take a minute and answer? I'm asking a question. If you don't know, you can very happily say, I don't know. I'm not sure. But if you're here in the class, please interact. If I ask a question, kindly put your answer in the chat. You're spending very valuable time on this thing. Where is it that I entered the URL? Navigate to QAOnAir.com. How did it go there? How did it go there, team? In the web page, but who opened the web page? The tool opened. I did not open. It is also in the record and run setting. Look, I said open the following when recording or running. Local browser, QAOnAir.com in Internet Explorer. I said which browser, and I also said what is the URL. Even this is done in the record and run setting. I just say it is done in the record and run setting. How about clicking on sign up link, team? Where is this being done? The first action that we perform is here. And this is the step. How do we know that this is the step for it? Because it is saying browser something dot page something dot link sign up and click on it. This portion of it, what I'm highlighting right now, is identifying where it needs to do something. It is looking at two things, the type of an object and the name of an object. We will look at object repository, it will become very clear for you. But what I highlighted right now is saying where it needs to perform a specific action. Then this highlighted text is what it needs to do on that. You identify something, you need to perform something on it. You identified that there is a browser with a certain name, page with a certain name, and a link with a certain name, and we click on it. How does this work? It works through a very important concept called object repository. Object repository is the way through which, one second. Is the way through which when we do a record, it starts to add the object into this place. It is nothing but a storage facility. It's like a library where you go and put things in an orderly fashion. So if you're looking for a specific book, let's say fiction, and then you know where to go for fiction books, and then everything is alphabetically organized for you. All this are called as test objects, whatever we are working on. It starts with a hierarchy of a parent and a child. So if I click on the first one, it will tell you something called as object and the properties for that object. See? Name of that object, the class or the type of the object, and forget about repository being local or how we create custom repositories, user created repositories. We'll come to that later. And then there are different properties and values to that property. What do you mean by properties and values? Let's say car, make BMW, color red, type, let's say X6, and so on. So there's a name of the property, there's a value of it. Looking at that, it tries to identify that object. The first parent object in here is a browser. This is the name it has automatically picked up. It is called as the logical name. What it picks up is called the logical name. It looks at some information in the application and it picks up a name that is logically suiting that. And usually it is the title of the page that it picks up. Now, the way this code works is very simple. Everyone with me? Anyone is getting confused in what I'm doing? If yes, all you have to do is go back and look at this video again. Repeat it. Like I said, learning curve is all about trying to get those basic essence together. The way this code works is very simple. The first thing when we try and execute a step is it will try and identify the object. It will go into the object repository and check as to where is that object. Then it will take the properties here and then it will try and look at that object in the application. This is all about the where portion, where it identifies the object. Then it tries to execute an action. Action execution is very simple thing. It's very straightforward. It is identifying this application or the object in the application that becomes important. So it goes to the code, the VB script code, comes to the object repository, searches for the name, looks for the corresponding properties, and then goes and performs, finds that object in the application. So a lot of you know or heard about descriptive programming, correct? In descriptive programming, what happens is there is no more object repository. We kill this. In the code itself, we write a way to identify this elements directly instead of doing it through this helpful tool called object repository. It's got its own advantages, especially if the application is dynamic and so on. You want to be able to do that. When we come there, that will become more and more clear. But primarily, without descriptive programming, we have to use object repository, which is like a library where the information about all the objects that we want to work with is stored. Fair enough, everyone? Now, in this, there are two pages. I see one page here, see class page. Another page here, class page. Why are there two pages, see? Because we went from the home page and we were navigating to other pages. As we keep navigating, it will keep adding more pages here. Now, the name that you see here in double quotes is present here. So first, it looks at an object of type browser. Where is it? Oh, here. Is this a browser? Yes. How do I know? Class. That is what VBScript does. And then it looks for a name matching this information, which I can see here. Let us say I want to call it as IE browser. Just a name I want to give. Or I'll say My Internet Explorer. If I change the name here, and let's say I just hit a tab, observe what happens to the code. Did you notice, team? In the code, wherever that browser name was there, changed automatically. Why? Because that is what the link is. The class is linked here, and the name is linked here, or even here. That is how it is recognized. Once it gets this detail, then it can go and find that specific one. Now, under this browser My IE, there is a page called QA on Air, Hire freelancers, hire QA freelancers. Where is this coming? Maybe the title of the page. Can I change it? Yes. What page is this? This looks like the home page. I go to this object and I'll change it here and it says home page. Will it change everything in the code? Yes, it did, but only one line. Why? Because the next line is a different page altogether. So here, I will change this to registration. Why am I doing this renaming? So that when someone looks at this code, I am writing this code, someone else may maintain it, someone else may execute it. It is easy for them to understand what is it. The code should look very English-like for us. That is very important. It should not look something, oh, what is this? I don't understand this and so on. So now I have a browser, I have two pages under it. Let's look at home page and expand this here. There's only one child object in it, and that is of class link, and it has a name called sign up. How does this work, team? Very simple. Browser in brackets, name of the browser. Let's say X. Dot represents that there may be a child element under it. And in the bracket, we'll say Y. This is the name of the page. Dot link is the type of an object. So is browser a type, so is page a type, link is a type. Within the browser, there is a page. Within the page, there has to be a link. And I can give that link a name, whatever name I want. The identification detail is not here. It is there in these properties here. That is where the identification is. These are just names. I can call you, let's say, Peter, someone. But Peter can be anyone. I know you're Peter, it is written here, and we are in one group right now. It is easy. But in the real world, if I need to identify Peter, then maybe I need a social security number or an email address or a phone number, something that uniquely identifies him. All right, team? So we have given custom names to make it easy for us to identify and understand them. And once we say browser, it will come here. Under that, there should be a page called home page. There should be a link called sign up. Look at these properties, go and perform an action. The action that we're performing is click, team. The number of actions that we perform on a web page are limited. Can I ask everyone a question, and can I get to ensure that you all answer this for me? How do you interact with a computer? What do you use to send some information into a computer? How do you send a message or any action or anything, any instruction to a computer team? What are the ways? Input devices, yes. What kind of input devices? Keyboard, yes. What do I do with the keyboard? What do I do on a keyboard, team? I type something. That's it. Mouse, of course, yes. What do I do with the mouse? I click something, be it right click or left click or double click or scroll. In keyboards, we have multiple keys there. Each one is probably giving different instruction. Yes, there is a scanner as well. Scanner will let you scan an image. But what will you do? You scan an image and you put it on the machine. It will come to you, right? But you still need to use the keyboard and mouse to be able to upload that somewhere or send it somewhere. Scanner is just an external device. So is another display, an additional monitor that you can put as an extended screen to your system, right? That is what you use, team. The number of methods is very limited. There's no rocket science in knowing about them or so and so. It is very clear as to what it is. Click is a method through which you click something. Set is a method that you use to set a value in an edit field. Set secure is used for password. And then as we go about identifying different types of objects, it will become very easy for you to associate. The message I'm trying to pass is there is a limited number of actions. It is not unlimited. It's a very easy thing. So don't worry about what are the different actions here. All right. What we want to do, what is this? Verify the sign up free account. Okay, this we have not done yet. So I'll just take it and put it in the order. So steps are appearing that way. Click on sign up button under freelancer is the next step. So this hopefully is doing that. Enter first name. Where did I enter Karthik? Let's see. This step seems to be entering the first name. Enter last name. Let us see which step entered last name. This step seems to have entered the last name. Very good. Next is enter email. Where did we do that? Okay, here I entered email. Now, hey, looks like I entered email twice. Why did this come, team? Why did it come twice? Can someone tell me, please? Why did line 30 and 31 both come up? There should be only one line. Why are both there? Why? There should be a reason, right? UFT is an amazing tool. It will not take or do something by itself. You have to give instruction. Because we typed it twice, I mistakenly typed it as CM, then I deleted that, and then typed it again as COM. What does that mean? Do I require both the steps now? Yes, humanly we made a mistake. I made a mistake. Now what do? I delete what I don't want. That's it. Done. Next comes enter username. That exists. We know this exists. And all this is so far doing the set of a value. Now comes the other one. Whoa, see, user underscore pass, repeat underscore pass, repeat underscore pass. What is the set team and what is set secure? Very simple logic. What UFT does is this. Set, you take a text, let's say X, it will take that, it will put it into a web edit field. That's it. That's what set does. It takes X comes here. Set secure, what it does is, let us say I want to put Y now. I know that here I have to put Y. When I put Y in a password field, does it show up on the web page team? Does it let you see? Why doesn't password field show up? Why does it show as stars of dots in the web browser? Why team? Why was that? Why is that even needed? So that anyone seeing your machine cannot know what you're typing unless they focus too much on your keyboard as to what you're typing. It's a security thing. I'm typing, but my screen is visible to everyone. They can easily see my password, right? When I use this form and when we were entering, I know what the password I was entering, but you don't know. You couldn't see it. There's a security to it. So what secure does is it encrypts that into some kind of a code. It converts this Y into some kind of a code using a simple encryption and then puts it there. Why? Because looking at this, you cannot make what the password is. That is the primary reason. When you send this code to someone, you don't have to tell them what that actual password is. You can just leave it like that. So only they can execute the code, but they cannot take this and put it there. Now, can this be broken? Of course, yes. Anything that you see digitally team can be broken. Hacking, simple methods, decrypting, very, very simple ways can be broken. But it's a basic level of security that can be provided. Okay, so we enter the user underscore pass and then repeat underscore pass. So I know that the second one failed. First time it failed when I'm saying repeat underscore pass. So I'll delete this step T. Hopefully this is correct. Let's see. So enter password and re-enter password. I'll take these two steps now. This is enter password and re-enter password. See how neatly I'm organizing this code now? Anyone who does not know even coding can be able to easily say, oh, this code does this line does this line does. That is the power of documentation, which is extremely essential. So we did this, then we submit by clicking on sign up. And then finally, we're checking for a valid error message. In this case, team, we're just clicking on it. When we come to VB scripting a little bit more, where we use if statement and validation, we should be able to check actually if this is working. So now let's relook at this code. So the first, whatever empty lines are there, I'll delete. So 1 and 2, taken care in record and run setting. Third step, click on sign up link. This identifies where, this identifies what. And so is 4, verify that sign up free account. This is pending, I'll say. We have not yet achieved this task. That's fine. I don't have to do everything on the same time. At least the basic code should be working. So then, what is this statement doing? It is identifying a field called web of type web edit with the name first underscore name. Where will you find it? Resources, object repository. Look at how the code works, and you should do the same. Browser, my IE, okay, I'm here. Page registration, okay, I'm here. Under that, there's a web edit field called first name. Let me expand this. Is there a web edit field called first underscore name? Yes. What is the class? Web edit. What is written here? Same thing. set is the method that we perform, where we put some information into it. And in this case, there is an additional value. So far, we've been talking about where we want to do something, what we want to do, and sometimes there's additional information like data that needs to be provided to execute that step. Because if you're typing something, then you need to provide that. If you're selecting something, you need to provide that. To click on a button or a link, you don't need to. We're just clicking. When we're using a keyboard to send some information, we need to be able to provide that data. All right. This is the basic simple logic team. This is the most important aspect to start working on any automation tool. This is how every automation tool will work. Okay. It needs to know where we need to do, what we need to do, and then provide the data that is needed as and when. Then last name, email, username, password, submit the form, valid, error message. Now what did we do? We've customized the code. Yes, we did a record. Yes, we did create the basic code by record and run. But now I have modified that a little bit. And now let's execute this and see if it works. So open the website. Good. Let's see if it clicks on sign up or not. It's always taking time to click on the link for the first time, team. I want to observe what is happening here. Okay, while this execution is happening. Okay, it's click, type everything very quickly. All done. It happened very quickly, team. It didn't even give me a chance to look at what really happened. How did it perform? Each step, it's got details in the error report, what happened, how it did, and so on. All that is in here. Right? Everything is there. Exactly how it performed on each step, how long it took, and so on. And it's got the entire test details, no errors, and so on. Now, I wanted to stop or pause between each step. Then there is a VBScript command called wait. I'll say wait for 2 seconds. That's it. After every step, I'll say wait for 2 seconds. Why am I making it slower? Only because I want to watch how it is doing. The whole point of automation is to make it more efficient. So we really don't want it to go slow. But as of now, just to observe what is happening, I'm inserting a statement. Wait for 2 seconds. And at the end, I want this browser to be closed, team. It's not closing this browser, correct? How can I do it? I can do it through record and run settings, but you must rely more on writing your code. I'll say browser. That is what I want, or where I want to perform an action. As soon as I open bracket, sorry, too much background noise, I guess. There's a gardener somewhere close by. Give me 1 minute. Okay, browser my IE came up automatically. Why? Because there's only one object of type browser in my object repository. If I say dot page and open brackets and say what? As soon as I say page and open brackets, it gives me 2 options because there are 2 pages in my object repository. That is why it's doing it. Now, when I say browser my IE dot, it gives me a few options here. Can you see this? Where you see an icon with like a brick kind of an icon with a motion thing there, is you're performing something. It's like you're throwing a brick. You're performing an action. All these icons basically mention as to what you can do on that object. On the object called browser, what is it that you can do? What do I want to do? I want to close the browser. Hey, is this the one? Let's click on it. One single click. it gives you a help as to what this method does. Closes the browser window or tab that this test object represents. Then this close all tabs. We are only working with a single tab. Why do you have to worry? So I'll just say close. And there are so many other ones. As you keep working, practicing, and doing projects, you'll be able to learn about each and everything. You can experiment at your end, or you can just let things slowly come in as we keep going. Now I'm saying browser.close. What if I said browser? As soon as I said open brackets, only one thing will come. Dot page, open brackets, let's say registration, dot, different types of elements are there in it, right? What are the different types of elements that we have under it right now? I have a link, I have a button, I have edit field, element, web element, it basically means text. Anything that's like a text or unrecognized element, it's called as web element. I'll say web edit field, where we can type. As soon as I say web edit, there are different names, right? There are different objects where you can type. I say, let's say repeat underscore path, just as an example of how we write the code, and say dot again. Now for web edit, can I say close here, team? For browser, I could say close, but for web edit field, why can't I say close? There is no way you can close a web edit field. You can close a browser, but not a web edit field. What can you do on a web edit field? You can type on it. And the way we type is using set method. Set the text inside the edit box. How do we know it's set? We did a record, we saw it right now. Now we know it. As you keep playing with more and more programs and combinations of different types of automation things that we do, we keep learning. So if I can say set on it. Now the same thing. Let me copy till here. Copy this, paste this, and say dot. Is there an object of type link? Yes. So I'll say link. Open bracket. There's only one sign up. What can I do on it? Can I do set on a link team? No, there's something called set TO property. We'll come to set RO property and TO property as we keep going along. It's basically test object property or runtime object property. Why? Because there's nothing to put in a link. All you can do is click, double click, drag, drop. So different events that you can perform. Depending on the class or type of object, your actions or methods will change. That is the whole point. So now we're saying browser.close. Actually, I should have saved it, but that's fine. You just saw it. So now we're going to re-execute. What is the change? We put a wait statement after every step. So it's going to wait for 2 seconds. We get a decent time to see what is happening, just for our own observation. And then it is going to, at the end, close the browser. So you can hit Karthik, first name, last name, email, username, password, re-enter password, click on sign up, wait for the page to load, click on that element, and then close the browser. Done. And it shows us there a report. That's it. As simple as it is. It is so simple to automate using HP UFT. Everything is built in. So then why is this tool tough to learn? Can't you just do self-discovery, self-learning? Absolutely yes. That's how I did. It took me time. It took me a lot of time to learn it on myself. Why? There are built-in features like data table, like actions, like how you create something called as recovery scenarios, how you create different options with execution and so on. The problem is not with generating such simple scripts. It is creating custom scripts. It is making it more adaptive to other external things like an Excel or a database. It is how we create the concepts of frameworks and build over it. That is where it gets more and more complex. With this knowledge, you can still do automation. But the industry where you are trying to look for a career is not at all interested in this. Anyone can do this. record and run. If I find a test cases, I'll record, find a test case, I'll keep it. And I'll keep on executing one after the other. They want a much more efficient solution. And that is where we have to take it to the next notch. We have to really get into framework, concepts there. And that becomes very critical. All right, team. So that's all I have for day 2. When we come in the next day 3, team, what we're going to do is we will write our own script. Then we will do a little bit more VB scripting. And we will apply the first project of data-driven framework to this. And then we'll go to what is keyword-driven framework and how we build it. We'll also do page object model. And it will give you a great idea overall. That is what is most critical. So I'm done with today's session, team. I'm glad to answer any questions that you have. So please take a minute and quickly ask me questions that you have, and I'll be glad to answer them. All right, team. So the first question is, my IE can be any name. That's correct. If you look at object repository, in this I said my IE. If I change it to just IE here, it will change everywhere in the script. If you change it in the script, it will not change in the repository, team. Remember that. If I write my IE here and try and save this, it will save, but it is not there in the script. And when I try and execute this, it will say, oops, I cannot recognize what is my IE. It is your name. Next question, how long will it take to learn UFT? Rowena, if you ask me, I would say about 3 weeks into 5 hours per week learning, 5 hours practice, 10 hours, about 30, 40 hours is more than sufficient to get to a decent level in HP UFT. Where is the report generated? The report is generated at the end of the script, but it will get stored in your drive where your project is. So C drive users, I believe it's Kusi Reddy. In that there should be, where is this program? Users Kusi Reddy document. In documents, unified functional testing. Is there a folder? Yes. This is the test case. Every time I execute, a new results folder will get generated. In that, there is the HTML version of the report. All right. It shows exactly what happened. And then there is an XML document, which we can open a simple notepad to look at. This XML document can be taken to be expanded to generate any kind of a custom report that you want, or you can share. There's a JavaScript file and any related resources. If you have checkpoints or icons and so on, will all be out here. So in the same folder where your test is, this will be there. In fact, your script that is there, VB script, will be under action 1. And it's called script.mts. And MTS is actually Mercury test script. It was earlier called Mercury Windrunner team, this tool. It was by a company called Mercury Windrunner and Mercury Load Runner. And HP bought this company and called it as Quick QTP from Windrunner, renamed. It continued to call Load Runner as Load Runner for a while, then it renamed. So you can open a script.mts file, right click and say open with a notepad. And the script that you see will be the same one you can see in a notepad version. Same thing that you see there is here in a notepad version. There's something called as XML and all that you can ignore. That's it. Format. Object repository is also here. So everything that you do for that project is here. So if I take this, zip it and send it to you, you can unzip it, put it, and it will work the same in your machine. Okay, big question. Is it harder to learn UFT than Selenium? Okay, here is what it is with UFT. UFT has just got one application to install. That is this application. Everything is inbuilt. And you do everything in here. So all is available for you under one source, one ID. The only complexity with Selenium that is not there with UFT is the fact that with Selenium, you have multiple things to install, constantly get the latest jar files, update them, and so on. UFT is a paid version. It's rather, it's a paid tool. So you're paying for that comfort of someone putting everything on your desktop, sorry for the cough, or in front of you. It's like a served dinner. For Selenium, you have to go do the shopping and cooking yourself. That is a small challenge. But then Selenium has its own big advantages, and people are all looking for more open source and free tools than paid versions. And that is the reason it has taken over more popularity. UFT is now reacting to the fact or the fear of Selenium and trying to improvise with LeanFT and so on. But it'll take time for the product to be there. Can I set the browser type in the code? I don't know what you mean by that, Sunata. Do you mean to say that should it be IE or so on? Yes, you will be able to, but you need to first instantiate the browser. So at a code level, you can do a lot of things. Now, I said record and run settings that when I'm recording or running, open Internet Explorer or Chrome and so on. Can you do the same thing at a code level? Absolutely. We can do that at a code level. In fact, 80% or 90% of what I'm going to be teaching is already there in the video tutorials that we have. That is going to be the same thing over and over again. What is new are maybe a few little new features of UFT and Lean. Those are the things that are new. Is it practical to use UFT in a small company, or is this good for bigger companies? Okay, I think the only primary thing is about the license fee. A single user license is about $10,000 to $15,000 for HP UFT. A single user license. So if I have a team of 10 people, we're talking about $100,000 going out. It's pretty expensive. That is the big reason small companies don't invest in such tools. The marketing strategy of HP as a company is something you need to understand. HP is primarily more of a hardware provider. They have computers, they have servers, they have printers, and so on. They already have good sized contracts and sales team penetrating into middle to large sized organizations. For them to also say that, hey, use HP UFT or ALM, they already know who are the purchasers, who are the buyers, so the sales process is done. For them to push on the product becomes a little bit more easier. And that is where bigger companies try and rely on them. What happens with Selenium is it's an open source tool. There is no premium support or a paid support for it. It's just an open forum, open community where issues are being handled. The larger companies, government organizations, military kind of organizations and so on, have money to put, but they want reliability. They want someone to be available to support as and when needed. So they tend to typically rely on paid tools with premium support. That is the biggest differentiator. In UFT, are we generating the reports or not? We are generating the reports or not. It is inbuilt team. Report generation is inbuilt with UFT. What it does, execution and so on. You can send your own custom log, screenshot as and when you want. When an error happens, how do you react and so on, you could do it. You could do it at a script level too, additional to what it is doing. You can also take it with, export some of the results and write it into a text file, XML, Excel, database, wherever you want. Because VBScript will help you interact. Another question is, images are support in UFT? Yes, image recognition is there. It does something called as a bitmap comparison. So it does pixel to pixel comparison of images. I expected this image is the same image there. There's something called as the concept called as checkpoints. Within the checkpoints, you have the bitmap comparison. There are checkpoints. In fact, everything except for the bitmap checkpoint is something we can do at a script level team. How is LeanFT different from UFT? So LeanFT is basically more of a cloud-based solution, and they're saying that they're focusing in terms of trying to make it Selenium friendly. HP LeanFT. They're making it more of trying to rely in terms of no, not this one. Okay, here you go. So they're integrating with Selenium, they're talking parallel execution, they have a ID integration, all these things are being worked on. Right. Last couple of questions, team, and then we could for the day. Which of these is more powerful tool, Selenium or QTP? Okay, now let me ask you this. Which is a more powerful thing? Is it a Hummer or a Porsche? Which is more powerful? Is Hummer more powerful or Porsche? What do you want? You want power, you want strength, or you want pickup? So they both have their own plus and minus. It depends on the need. You have money, you want a tool readily, you don't want to invest too much into developing or creating something, then go for QTP. If you believe that you want to create a lab, something very customized automation suite, then people go for Selenium, and they don't want to spend too much on licensing. Is UFT still in demand nowadays? That, Rowena, I answered in the orientation session. You should look at the job trend in your area. You should look at Indeed.com/job trends to see how it is. It is in demand. It's got its own market. Maybe if Selenium has 5 jobs, UFT has 1 job maybe, but it still has its own market demand. So sometimes it is more fruitful that you have the skill, you apply for a UFT job, everyone else is applying for Selenium, and it can be good. And I don't want to be biased. I'm still more of a Selenium guy myself, and I'm very open about it. I'm not a UFT guy at all. I still know the tool well. I can teach the tool, but I'm not using it myself. I'm using more of Selenium. But the market is using. There's still students who want training on it, and that's why I continue to promote and teach it. So the students tell me about the market more than the market does. For me, it's very easy. My students come and say exactly that, hey, listen, Karthik, this is what we want. And that is what we try and continue to provide. All right, team, thank you so much. We'll look forward to having you in the next session. I don't know the schedule. I'm going to get off the session and I will talk to my team about the next schedule, what is there and so on. Keep checking for your emails. We'll communicate on that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Take care. Have a great weekend ahead. Bye, everyone. Thank you now. Bye, all. Thank you.